Welcome back to TT Podcast Part 2 with Mick Grant, and we left on a bit of a cliffhanger in Part 1. If you've not checked it out, make sure you do. Mick was going to reveal all Steve's secrets because Mick was team manager for Steve for a time.
It wasn't a long time. It seemed a long time.
I bet it did. So all those stories that you couldn't tell about yourself, you can now tell us about Steve.
You
so
see, there's different ways of putting
it.
it. Basically, what you're saying is I made their bikes look good for a few years.
Mick?
Would it be okay if I just had a difference of opinion there?
Absolutely.
In true Yorkshire style.
I mean, in actual fact, I thoroughly enjoyed working with Steve. But at the end of each meeting, the one thing that he never says thank you or that's a job well done.
Unbelievable.
You can't believe it, can you? And I remember at the end of most meetings, the year, the championship year, I said, how was it? Oh, this is a pile of shit. Well, we had two things. It was either a bag of shit or a pile of shit. If it was a bag of shit, we're all right because we could scoop it up and do it. But if it was a pile of shit, it was no good. And he was winning races and whatever.
And still complaining.
We got to the end of the year, and I remember Benny, his main mechanic. I said to Benny, I said, well, he's done all right in the championship, but yeah, I just feel frustrated that we never got the bike right for him. He said he was taking the mickey out of you. He said the bike was mint.
Was it?
Oh dear.
So you let him down the garden path? Poor old Mick getting
not.
Stressed. But listen, this guy is not to be trusted. We once, the team owner was a lovely fellow called Russell Savoury. And Russell, we almost had a deal with, what was the shoe company, Steve? The big thick crepe soles. Doc Martens.
No.
It was Doc Marten.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Doc Marten. And we finished up with the most uncomfortable shoes I've ever had on my feet. And we were forced to wear them every meeting. And I got sick of these bloody shoes. They were killing me. I went to Macau, to the Macau Grand Prix. And I was sharing a room with a guy called Enzo De Clemente, the Ducati team manager.
I remember watching him race years ago.
And Enzo. And as we finished the meeting, I said to Enzo, I says, these shoes are going in this bloody wardrobe. A couple of months later, we have the Christmas party, the Honda Christmas party, in an Indian restaurant. And they knew we used to go there, so they used to clear all the paintings off the wall and take the carpets up. And it got a bit messy towards the end. And Steve, who is known for not giving stuff away, is going around all the Honda people giving them presents. And he got me a present in this wrapper. And I'll tell you now, unashamedly, I had a lump in my throat. I felt really
emotional.
And I opened this box and there was bloody shoes in it. Oh dear. So
Did I get thanks?
Did you thank him like that? Unbelievable.
Oh dear.
So what made you move into that? Obviously you raced, and we spoke about that, and you know, even if we had another 5 hours, we wouldn't be able to delve into all of it. But eventually you did end up moving across into team management. Yeah,
I did the Macau Grand Prix. My last race was the Macau Grand Prix at the end of 1985, and I'd won it in 84 on the RG 500, and then 85 the bike wasn't right. It was not very good at all. It didn't finish.
How many times did you win Macau, mate?
I've forgotten. How many times did you win? I suppose I've got to go through this. How many TT?
No, honestly,
how many TT did you win, Steve?
Well, I entered 3 years.
All right, so, okay. Yeah.
They didn't ask you that. How many did you win?
No, honestly, that was a serious question. How many times did you win it?
I won 5 races, but I think overall I won twice because there used to be 2 legs.
That's right. Yeah.
2 legs over and added.
One Saturday, longer one Saturday, one Sunday. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, blooming hell, never knew that.
So 85 was your last. That was your last race as well.
Last race, and I came back from the second race in Macau, and I came and said to my mechanic, "That's me finished." And I thought, where's that noise come from? And I must have been subconsciously thinking about it, and I'd just had enough. And I went back home. I spoke to my wife, and the following day I got to go down to Suzuki to renegotiate my contract, which was there.
Mm-hmm. On the table.
Yeah, but they didn't want me to race, if I'm being honest, because they thought I'd had. And Dennis Rowan, who was the boss then, he said, I think you've had a cracking career, and I'd like to be this person that sees you stop. And anyway, we did a deal where I would go into promotions, and then 2 years after that, I'd take over the racing team when Rex White retired.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exactly what I wanted, and I never regretted it. And that was really good. I mean, my old mate Roger Marshall, poor old Roger, he had to stop because of sponsorship, sort of didn't work for him. And then if you're having to stop and you're in that mental state where you want to keep on racing, it just takes a long time to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
But for me, I've just had enough.
Yeah. There's not many,
I didn't regret it for 1 minute.
There's not many riders that are lucky enough to say, I'm going to stop and
That's right.
and live without that regret.
That's right. Then I had 2 years like sabbatical, just not doing much at all. And then I got a job as technical director for MCRCB, British Superbike, for a couple of years. And then I moved into team management. It's, I sort of enjoyed it, but really when you think of it, team management is not, it's not anything like a good racing. When you're racing, you're riding for number one. I know you've got responsibility for your team and whatever, but you're riding for yourself. When you're team managing, you've got people like this to come look after, and all you're going to get is whinging. And if there's anything good happens, if somebody turns the right little knob on the bike and makes it better, or does something that makes it, it's what they've done.
It's the rider.
If it all goes horribly wrong, it's a team manager.
Yeah.
So it's a no-win situation.
You've just got to live with it. But that's where you are now, isn't it, Steve? That's
True, very true, yep.
all those times.
He does deserve it. He does.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like God said, listen, son, you're going into team management.
Yeah,
Just to let you know how you've put through poor old Mick through everything.
So from that side then, from stopping in 85, when the decision was made, none of that was really planned afterwards. It kind of all sort of fell into place. Obviously you had good times, with James Whittam on the Suzukis, and James was unbelievably fast, obviously, and a good lad to work with. So, you was, and local to where you lived, another Huddersfield lad, so it kind of all sort of tied in nicely.
It did. I'll be the first to admit, through my career, I've been very, very lucky. I was lucky that, I got into team management and whatever. And even with team management, I got to a point where I'd just had enough and I stopped. And it never bothered me that it never happened again. Incidentally, going back to Plater.
You can't be like...
Brilliant.
We were doing a 24-hour race down in
Paul Ricard.
Paul Ricard, that's right. And Honda put us in this. It was almost like a chateau. It got a swimming pool and all this. The bike was shite, but got good accommodation. And
priorities.
And it was an old building, and there was no air conditioning in it. It was a stinking hot night. And I've got my little room there, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep, so I shoved the sheets off. I'm still too hot, so I took all my clothes off. And when you're half asleep but you're not quite awake, and I could hear some rattling and some giggling. Anyway, I thought no more about it. And again, we go to the Christmas party another year. And again, we're in the same Indian restaurant. And the Honda's top brass are there. And I'm stood up, giving Steve and the other rider, Mara Brown, some stick, and really enjoying myself. And then halfway through this, which was going really well for me, they both stood up, opened the jumpers up, and they got T-shirts on, and I'm there on this photograph, curled up like a little embryo, completely stark-bolt naked. So,
one of the best achievements of our career.
How did you manage to get that?
That quietened me down a bit.
Excuse me.
In front of the top brass.
Right, now let me tell you the true story. Okay.
Go on then.
So Mick, I know for a fact, has a very big soft spot for red wine. Okay.
Oh dear.
So he was always sticking his chest out when he's at the bar, ruffians drinking that beer and stuff. Anyway, cut a long story short, that night he made us drink red wine. So we wouldn't let him go to, Mara and I wouldn't let him go to bed. We kept buying more red wine, more red wine, more red wine. So off he went. So he wasn't just going to sleep in a hot room. He was steaming off his head on red wine.
Right, okay.
Wouldn't have woke up if he'd put an hand grenade under his pillow.
I forgot that bit.
So you went in with the camera?
Oh yeah.
With the sole intention of doing
light
that.
came on for a split second, boom, off. Perfect picture.
Oh dear.
How did that go down with the top brass at Honda?
Oh mate, they loved it.
Did they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he dug himself a massive hole. In fact, he had a JCB. Do you know what I mean?
Ah well. Hey ho.
Right, well, I'm just going to sit back now.
Every
while you
dog has
two-
his day.
While you two discuss these stories of days gone by.
So, mate, TT wise, you've seen some massive changes over the years, especially in, terrain, because corners have changed and surface, and from going back to when you first started, whenever it was what the year? 69, was it?
69, yeah.
First
Yeah, yeah.
at the Manx. What was the surface like then? You said about the white lines being slippery, but
Well, I mean, for example, on my Veloset, which wouldn't do much more than 110 if you threw it down as a pit shaft, like on the Cronkabody Straight, you felt physically sick at the end. It was that bumpy. I remember going even up to 1975, Steve Parish first came to the Isle of Man, and he said to me down the Sulby Straight, "Whereabouts do you ride down there?" And I said, "Well, you ride right in the middle." He said, "Well, why is that?" I said, "Because it's the further away from the edge." and in those days, we didn't know much about suspension, because you just more or less got on and rode the damn things. And if you could get the bike to go down Sulby Straight without knocking it, that's a 750. That was right for the race. That's all you got to do. And it would take all practice and a lot of ideas that we didn't really have much idea about to make the thing do that.
So what were you doing to the bikes? How much adjustment could you actually make with those springs back in the day?
Not much. You'd just alter the springs, maybe alter the spring rates, and put a bit thicker or a bit lighter oil in, whatever, and alter the gearing and do. But the adjustment, there was almost no adjustment.
There's no preload or
no
or anything like that.
But was it the tarmac, the asphalt? Was it rougher than in general the whole lap round? Was it?
A lot of it was chipping on tar, so you had a situation where if on a really hot summer, you actually got melted tar, so it was actually quite dangerous. You were sliding all over the place. But I remember in 1986, the year after I finished, I had the chance of riding Stanley Wood's 500 works of Veloset around there. And in 1939, the last time he rode it, he averaged, he did 90 mile an hour lap. And I rode the bike round on closed roads as quick as I could. And I did just about 90 miles an hour. And I came back and Stanley said, he says, "Bejesus," he said, "you've gone as quick as I went in 39. And it made me realise just how quick these guys were going.
How fast?
In 39. Because then the roads were 30% narrower, 100% bumpier. And
Crap tyres.
And you just don't know. You can't imagine how we went down at 90 mile an hour. You just can't imagine it.
But if someone jumped on one of your bikes from the 70s, a new era rider, they'd say exactly the same about yours, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I've got this theory that if you got, say, the top guy from each era, from Stanley's time in 1939 up to the present day, and if you could actually equal out the tyres, the engine performance, the road conditions, everything else, and put them all in on a computer, these top guys, they'd all finish within a fraction of a second of one another.
Yeah.
They were just different bikes to ride differently, but the top guys would still come out, I think, the same.
Still on top.
Yeah, and to finish off on that, I think the biggest, if you're looking at horsepower, suspension, tyres, all these things that would actually make a bike quicker, the biggest single factor is the road condition.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think now, Mick? Obviously, with the level of machinery, tyre quality, everything, all of the little ingredients that go into the machines, how fast they are, especially.
Yeah.
Doing a lap around a TT. Does that float your boat? Is that something you'd like to, or wish you was in that era of racing now?
I don't even think about it because it's not my era. My era was, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but I admire the guys that were going around now. They're going around so quick, but I just don't. Don't misunderstand me. But I don't think they're any better than the Halewoods or the Stanley Woods of this world. It's a different era, and it's very hard to compare.
Yeah, if Harewood was in this era with his
Yeah.
talent, he'd be riding as fast as
Yeah.
as Hickey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of this current crop, obviously you still come over as a fan. Who do you kind of look towards to support, or who do you enjoy watching racing?
Well,
Now?
my last proper involvement was obviously with Norton a few years ago, and we had Josh Brooks, and then we had the New Zealand guy who now does commentary.
Cam Donald and then Josh. Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed that. Now I just go as a spectator and watch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any particular favourites. I just go to a nice place to watch, and
Where's your favourite spot to watch?
I like watching at the top of Bagara.
So Bagara's, how many miles are we in there?
It'll be
About 10 miles.
Yeah.
You run down towards 11th.
That's
Yeah.
where that fast compression is that
Yep.
Yeah,
into that left hand.
Do you remember Milo,
Yeah.
the newcomer?
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
talking about it's one of his worst places that he's
Mhm.
struggled now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking to that, did you have places where you struggle with, or
I had a system to learn that, even right until my last year I raced. People that go there as newcomers and just go round lap after lap, you're actually wasting your time. Because you do half a lap and you concentrate. Then after that, you're in the garden at home or you're doing whatever. You just don't concentrate. You don't learn anything. So what I used to do, I would, after a practice session, I would pick out 3 or 4 places I didn't feel comfortable at. Go in the car, get out of the car. And really all you've got to do is identify the apex, where the apex is. It's quite simple.
yeah,
And once you've done that, then the next practice you go out, and those bits you really mint at, and then you pick another 4 places. And
Yeah.
and through my career, I did that all the time, and that's because these places come back again after a few years as the road changes, the bike changes, and whatever. But that's how I did it.
So when you're back there, obviously people in the paddock will recognise you. Do any people come up to you and try and siphon off a bit of that experience?
A bit less and less these days.
They just come up to him and ask him, does he need any help crossing the road? That's all they come.
Can I help you with your Zimmer frame? No, it's just nice to actually be a spectator now rather than an active part in it, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
And you take your enduro bike out there,
Yeah, my trials bike. Yeah,
trials bike,
Yeah.
78 still riding.
Yeah,
That's
not very well,
unbelievable,
but
that, is it? Hey, be nice. You said you were going to be nice.
no. Hey, listen, on a trialer, he's still doing all right.
I know. Who'd have thought it, eh? Still life in the old dog yet.
So future-wise, Mick, can you see it getting much quicker? The Isle of Man, they always harp on about speeds. We should I say on the TV always harp on about speeds and various
it
things.
will always
different
get quicker.
Yeah.
But it's diminishing returns. I mean, for example, when they at Quarry Bends, when I was riding there, you were down to second gear because there was, and now it's sort of, I believe it's 5th gear even on a super bike. So they've picked up maybe 8 or 9 seconds, maybe more. Road conditions, more than anything, will actually keep improving the lap times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's coming out of Parliament Square, if you ever look, just opposite where the garage is on your right-hand side, the little bit of pavement that sticks out on your left, there's a patch in the road, about 2 metre patch. That used to be a pavement edge. Just there, that would give you another 2 or 3 seconds. It's not there. So, yes, speeds, unless to bring the horsepower down, but the current crop of bikes, they'll always go quicker.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but like we were saying, in one of the other podcasts, I think it was Clive Paget commented on 129 mile an hour. Michael Dunlop on a 600.
Yeah.
It's flipping fast, even on the smaller bikes.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people would like to do that on a superbike, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Let
they
alone
would, mate,
on a 600. Just going back to that, you mentioned Quarry Bends. Your guys are dropping it down to second. Again, is that how the road's changed, or is that down to the bikes and the handling?
No, it's how the road. The road is completely different.
Right.
If you actually went through Quarry Bends now, the as you go into it, which is a right-hand corner, it's a very slight right and left bend. Before that, it actually went into a lay-by, which is actually still looks like a little lay-by, right on your right-hand side, and it was second gear.
Right.
Completely different. They've just flattened the vault of the road completely.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah. Just the same as coming down to Brandish.
Yeah, the left.
That used to be second gear. It's
Right.
now, I believe now it's fifth gear on a superbike. Again, there's probably 10 or 12, 15 seconds there, I would think.
That's the left-hander before Hillbury.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
after the Craig, they changed that in
Yeah.
for 2007, my first year. Yeah.
But then I get like Mick says, I guess it all excuse me, it'll all come down to road conditions and weather. If you get one of those hot summers again, like we saw in 2018.
2018 was the
Yeah.
fast year, wasn't it? When Hickey
Yeah.
blew the lap record.
So it is going to
yeah.
be down more. I
I
think
mean,
the riders are capable
there
of
are
doing
quite
it.
a few
The bikes
different
are.
ingredients, obviously, for
Yeah.
a lap record, and obviously one of those is heat. But yeah,
So what's the future for you, Mick? What are you just going to keep coming to the TT and supporting it, and
Absolutely.
yeah, until someone tells you can't ride a bike anymore?
Yeah, that'll be won't be for a while, I hope.
That's amazing. Shall we finish off with some? You must have got a few more than usual,
yeah.
right?
No, just a 10.
So
just a 10.
we always finish a podcast off with Steve's quick fire questions. I've got a feeling they're going to be.
No, there's nothing dramatic in
Oh.
there. You haven't got a flipping.
We're safe.
Right, Mick. Quick fire questions. Just answer one or the other.
Right.
I don't need any excuses. Nothing else. Beer or wine? I know the answer.
Wine.
Huddersfield or the Isle of Man?
Alaman.
Pineapple or never pineapple on a pizza?
Pineapple.
Good lad. 2-stroke or 4-stroke?
50-50.
What did I tell you? One or the other?
A 2-stroke.
I knew it would be. Mike Hailwood or Joey Dunlop?
Bloody hell. We could talk about this for half an hour.
For whatever reason, your own reason, Mike Hailwood or Joey Dunlop?
It's got to be Halewood.
Road racing or circuit racing?
Road racing.
Right. 10,000-foot parachute jump or sail from Portsmouth to Spain through the Bay of Biscay on a small luxury yacht?
Believe it or not, I'd go for the yacht and be sick all the time. But at least I wouldn't be frightening my life out of myself.
He is the worst person on a boat.
I was going to
I've
say there must
seen
be something.
on my
There must be
planet.
something here.
But you haven't seen me jump out of an aeroplane, and neither will you ever.
I've seen your parathon and that was enough.
Yeah.
Right, TT pillion ride with Michael Dunlop or me?
Dunlop.
Oh, I'm hurt. Ginger Hall to Ramsey or Ramsey to the bungalow?
Yeah. The first one, Ginger Hall to Ramsey.
Ginger Hall to Ramsey. Last one. 7 times TT winner
Yes.
or 500cc World Grand Prix champion?
Well, the second one for sure.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair play.
Mick,
Thanks, Mick.
it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. So there we have it. You can say anything you want about him now. He's gone, Steve.
The best thing with that man, you can be very honest.
It was an insightful chat, and again, I say it every week. People are probably getting bored. Like, what a great guy.
Oh, incredible. You know, so many stories, like you say. He's
Yeah.
like Clive Paget, you know, a few weeks ago, you just want to take him to the pub and sit down and waffle for ages. I'm very lucky, you know, that I spend a lot of time with him and I get a lot of these stories, especially the ones he can't tell.
This has been the second part of the Mick Grant episode of the TT podcast. If you've enjoyed it, then make sure you leave us a rating. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we've got plenty more star-studded guests coming up on the TT podcast. And next week, we have a legend from the sidecar world, John Holden.
You can't stop the age thing, can you? And it's just a number. I don't feel any different than I did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I stopped eating wheat, so that means no bread, no cakes,
That's
no
my
biscuits. And that was, I read a book called Wheat Belly that my sponsor Ian Barnes gave me, and yeah, I thought I'll give up that, and I have done, and I feel loads better without it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Warburton.
That episode is out next week. Now, don't forget, you can get all the latest TT news and features over at iomttraces.com, and you can check us out on all the usual socials. We are at TT Races Official. Steve, I'll leave the last word with you today.
Did a good job remembering all that.
Pro.
Tip top.